Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Webinar Wednesday. My name is Sharon, and I'm with SIPA, your Colorado Government Authority, helping you get more information and services online. In today's webinar, GrackleDocs will be showing us a demo of their GrackleDocs tools used to make your documents more accessible. Before we get started, please go ahead and turn on captioning if you need or desire, and note that during this webinar, you're muted. If you have questions or would like to communicate with the presenters at any point during the webinar, please do use the chat box in the Q&A feature. We'll unmute folks at the end for any remaining questions. We'll also have one poll question that I hope we can ask at the end, so we'll maybe put that up, and we also will have a post-webinar survey, and we deeply appreciate your feedback and your participation in those. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ann Nettler, Jason Cullen, and Phil Spencer from GrackleDocs. We appreciate their time and look forward to their presentation. Also on the call is SIPA's Sales and Marketing Director, Beth Justice, Customer Success Director, Dwayne Tucker, Sales Operations Manager, Heather Nelson, and Digital Accessibility Specialist, Josh Shorter, if you have any questions for us. Thanks again for joining us today, and with that, I will turn it over to our guests.
Well, thank you, Sharon, for that wonderful introduction, and welcome everyone. Thanks for giving your time and allowing us to come and share with you today. We at GrackleDocs want to talk about unlocking digital accessibility and how we can help do that through a lot of the different tools and resources that we have. And by way of introduction, Sharon did a great job of that. My name is Ann. I have the pleasure of being our Vice President for Consulting here at Grackle, and I will let my colleague Jason introduce himself as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Cullen. I am the head of sales here at GrackleDocs, dealing with lots of different variations of clients and how they solve digital accessibility. These education webinars are great, so looking forward to getting this information across.
So at Grackle, like I mentioned, we are end-to-end digital accessibility solutions, and our goal is to democratize digital access, and especially for communities like those in Colorado, where you guys have even more stringent laws at bay and deadlines for digital accessibility. We are really excited to get to share this information with you. So at Grackle, we have both services and software. And software, we have our Workspace, which is a set of 3 different Google extensions that work in the Google Workspace. That's why we call it Grackle Workspace, so Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. Where the tool shows literal point and click digital access editing. We're going to give you a brief demo of that today. We have Grackle PDF, which is a next generation PDF editor. I use it instead of Adobe Pro now. So we're going to show you that as well. We're really excited about the things that can do. We also have Grackle Go, and Grackle Go is our free, newly released PDF accessibility checker. So on the slide that's on your screen to the far left, you'll find a QR code. And if you want to scan that code, Jason's also going to put the link that code is associated with in the chat. So you can access it from the chat as well if you would prefer the direct link. You can use that link, use that QR code to go online and sign up for your free Grackle Go account. And we're going to demo it for you in a moment. We also have services like Grackle Scan and Grackle Scan for WordPress. Those are services where the software goes in and literally does a walking crawl scan for any PDFs on a website to determine if they're accessible. We have Grackle Stream. And then we have many different services. So we offer training for digital accessibility. We have our Grackle service team who remediates any sort of document. Right now we have alt text, and I think we can do it in, I think, 76 different languages or something like that. They provide fast, accurate service. We offer consulting to help determine and build digital access plans, roadmaps, policy. We have Grackle Audit, which is website auditing, and then we have a VPAT service. So if you create a product and you need to be able to create or provide a VPAT for that product, we can help you with that. What I'd really love to be our takeaways today is that you'll be able to articulate the relationship between disability, diversity, and digital access, that you'll understand Grackle PDF and Grackle Workspace and how they can assist you, that you'll learn how to streamline accessibility compliance for PDFs and for Google Workspace, And then that you would be able to discover some cool features that GrackleDocs offers that sets us apart in the accessibility landscape. Because the goal is to teach you how to fish instead of always giving you the fish, right? And especially as we consider budgets and timelines, we need to find the best combination from both worlds. And as we get talking, I always like to talk about the population that we all serve. And in America, the last US Census, there were 54 million Americans identified as having a disability. That's 1 in 5 people, or 20% of the American population. That's a lot of people. In the world, it's 1.3 billion with a B. When we're talking about disability, especially if we're looking at education, the vast majority of our students in education that have disabilities have invisible disabilities. And we don't always associate invisible disabilities with the need for digital access, but there absolutely is. The highest number of types of invisible disabilities where we see the most prevalence in diagnosis in students is learning disabilities, attentional disorders, and psychological conditions. All of those can be print-related conditions where the student would use assistive technology and would need accessible content. In college in the United States, 19% of all undergraduate students and 12% of all graduate students identify as having a disability. Imagine that number when you translate it to a classroom full of students who now learn almost solely online. When we look at the use of assistive technology, usually we just think people with disabilities. But assistive technology at its core is technology that helps others. In this case, it's technology that helps others access things that are online in one way or another. There are 2.5 billion people in this world that need assistive technology. That is 1.2 billion more than there are with disabilities. When we think about the occurrence of disability, there are 446 million people in the world that are deaf or hard of hearing. And then that last statistic is one that I always find striking, and that's that of all of the individuals who are accepted into a Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts program, into an undergraduate program in the United States, all of those accepted that have a visual impairment, only 15.7% of them will actually graduate and obtain their degree. Only 15.7% of the 100% of people with visual impairments that get into college will graduate. That has everything to do with a lack of access. And really, why do I share this? I share this because it matters. We know that disability rights are civil rights, and they're also human rights. When we create material that is accessible, we literally break down generations of systemic barriers that have been placed in our digital world that were placed there without us realizing that we were putting a barrier in place. We simply didn't know. When we do differently, when we use accessible materials or create accessible content, we provide the same opportunities. We ensure that everyone is being treated equitably. We foster meaningful engagement. More people can access the services that they desperately need. More people can sign up to use resources. More people can be involved in using different tools and techniques. More people can communicate with each other. It broadens participation. It builds a stronger and more diverse online community. Not only does it create a place at the table for individuals with disabilities or individuals who need to access content differently, where before they were not even in the room, it creates a place at the table and it actually gives them a microphone. And then, as we all know, it helps to ensure both legal compliance and social inclusion. And for me, I think it's really about establishing and fostering a wired environment. And wired, for me, means welcoming, inclusive, respectful, engaging, and diverse. And don't we all want to live in, work in, learn in a wired environment? So when we focus on the fact that it all matters, when we look at digital access, it is a multi-win situation. We are supporting the civil rights of an entire population. We are ensuring social inclusion. We are ensuring equity. We are ensuring legal compliance. We are mitigating our own risk. And we are providing resources that we work so hard to create in the best way possible for the most people as possible. You may be aware that recently, this past April, the Americans with Disabilities Act, Title II specifically, which relates to areas of public accommodation, so federal, state, government-funded agencies, public school districts, public universities, libraries, et cetera, that Title II was updated. And that covers websites, main and subsidiary sites. It covers web-based processes, so how you would navigate a site, what's within that site. It covers the content that is online, documents, forms, videos, images, and it covers any apps or applications that an entity uses, even if that app is a third-party app, even if the content that's on a website is controlled or governed by a third party who is contracted with us, let's say, to do so. And that provided a deadline of 2 to 3 years, depending on population. So the deadline is April 24th, 2026. If you serve a population, let's say you serve the state, that means your population is well over 50,000 and you have that 2-year deadline, April 24, 2026. And then even more familiar to you in Colorado is HB 21. And HB 21 expands the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act. And its main tenets are that it is discriminatory to exclude a person with a disability from participating in or to deny them the benefit of any kind of service, activity, program, job, education that anyone else can have, if it's provided by a Colorado government entity, including school systems. It's discrimination to do that. The second one is that it's discrimination for any Colorado government entity to fail to develop an accessibility plan by, the first deadline was July 1, 2022. The updated deadline, as you probably know, is July 1, 2025. That is less than 7 months away from today. And not only does that plan need to be developed, but it needs to have been followed. That is not a lot of time. So I hope that you are in the process of having that plan and developing that plan. That is something that Grackle can help you with. But it's really important to know, especially with that type of a tight timeline, there are resources that can help make this possible. And different from the ADA, HB 21 has a broader scope. So it includes everything that the ADA update for digital access includes. It cites that same web content accessibility guidelines, version 2.1 AA level as the standard for digital access, but it also includes hardware and just plain digital documents, even if the document is not on a website. So if you're sending that document in an email, let's say it's a Word document, in Colorado, it still has to be accessible, even though it's not online, which I think is a huge distinction. So now let's talk about some of the myths or the elephants in the room when we talk about digital accessibility. There's an image on the screen to the right of a red couch, and there is a woman sitting to one side with a laptop and a gentleman sitting on the other side with what looks like an iPad, and a huge elephant sitting in between them on this couch, and they are both acting as though it is not there. And the text says, "What digital accessibility issue?" So common myths are that creating accessible digital content is hard. That's a myth. It doesn't have to be hard. Accessible content must be only plain text. In other words, it must be boring. Absolutely not. You can have engaging content that is just as accessible as a plain text-only content. Or that making things accessible is only going to help someone who is blind. Well, we already talked about some examples that broaden that significantly. Digital access improves access for individuals with learning disabilities, with attentional disorders, with psychological impairments, with chronic pain conditions, with visual impairments, with hearing impairments, or those who are deaf. It improves access for everyone. Accessible content isn't going to be engaging. No one's going to want to look at it. Again, not true. Or, well, I need an IT degree to make this accessible. So it's outside of my purview. Well, guess what? I don't have an IT degree either. My doctorate is in leadership. But I can tell you that I can make things accessible with very little effort, especially with the tools that Grackle offers. So how do we move from a place of understanding to a place of action? And the first one we're going to talk about today is Grackle Workspace. And I know that Jason's going to share his screen in just a moment so that we can get into that demo. And something else that I know we're going to show you really quickly is also what that Grackle Go access is going to look like. Because remember, you can get that for free with that link that should be in the chat, or that QR code that we had up a moment ago. But let me jump back into Workspace. What is it? It's a group of Google Chrome add-ons that work in Google Workspace. So especially if you are a Google shop in your office or your department or your agency or your institution, this is right up your alley. It checks doc sheets and slides against digital accessibility standards, and it provides step-by-step, point-and-click fix solutions. It automates as much as possible. The guidelines that it gives you explain why something is important and make it so easy to fix. It also will allow you to export your Google document or your Google Slides presentation as a formatted PDF with good formatting. So all that hard work you just put in to fix those accessibility issues, that same tagging and formatting that you just did follows that document now with our software and extracts it and puts it into a PDF. So Jason, without further ado, if you would like to, I will stop sharing and I will let you share your screen. So we're going to jump into that Grackle Workspace so you can take a look at it.
Yeah, happy to. So I'm sharing my screen here, and thank you for those stats. Always amaze me, and every time I see them. But so I'm sharing my screen here, and what we have is we have our Grackle Workspace extension open. What you can do to download this extension and use it is simply visiting the extension store within Google. You just go to the add-on store, you get your add-ons, and you just search for Grackle. So by searching for Grackle, you'll see that it'll pop up. And then we've got our Docs, Sheets, and Slides extension available. So you
Jason,
download it. Go
which
ahead.
of your screens are you sharing?
Oh, let me check.
I just didn't see what you were talking about when you...
It should be my
There you go.
Google.
Now it's that one.
Awesome.
That's different. Sorry.
No problem. So what we've got here, I'll restart. We've got our Google Doc available. And what you do is when you're inside your Google platform, you visit the extension store, you go to your add-ons, and you get your add-on. All you need to do here is search for Grackle. And what you'll do is you'll find the Grackle extension and you add it to your extension store, or excuse me, your Google Doc platform. Once it's added, you simply need to run the extension by going to GrackleDocs and hitting launch. It'll open up a little sidebar on the side of your Google Doc, and it'll check it for your accessibility. So what I've got here is a little bit of a sample document that we've created. It's got some pictures and some text and a table and just typical things that would be inside of a simple document. All you need to do is click your check button. It'll check your document for accessibility features and walk you through the corrections of these of the issues, the accessibility issues it finds. So things as simple like a document title is required for accessibility. So all you need to do is click on the edit button and add in your document title. So by clicking on that, it'll open up your document properties and then allow you to add in your doc title. We've also tried to add as many shortcuts as we can. So things like use the Google Doc name as your title. So if I wanted to use sample Grackle Workspace demo, I would click on use your doc name and it would add it in. You can then continue working through things like images need to have alternative text inside of all accessible documents. So you just click on locate, it'll locate your image and allow you to tag that image and add in your alternative text. As you continue to work through it, it'll give you your passes that you've passed. We'll walk through all of the different areas that you need to to tag and make accessible. For the purposes of expediting this, I'm not going to go through absolutely everything, but you've got your tables, so you can locate your tables, and then you can click and tag those tables in the scoping to advise to assistive technology which cells to go to, which are parent cells, which are child cells, so that it reads it accordingly. It is the same process through docs, sheets, and slides. It just checks for different things. So for instance, inside of a Google slide, you need to name all of your individual slides. It is important to note that we do offer a free 30-day trial of this tool. So anyone on this call can just add the extension, search for it, add it, and use it for 30 days and practice. It is built to be simple to use. The only limitations, well, one of the major limitations will be exporting to PDF on the trial. You only have 4 exports, but that is something I always like to note, that when you're doing the accessibility work and you've completed it and you've passed all of your checks, you need to make sure you're exporting out of the Grackle engine so that the tags get carried over correctly. There are some limitations within the Google platform itself that if you went in and you actually downloaded it as a PDF, you'll have some issues with the tags that you just added using Grackle. So you want to make sure you export right out of the workspace tool. So with that, I'll hand it back off to Anne, and we can move on to the next product.
So that was that kind of down and dirty for Grackle Workspace. And the tool that Jason just showed you for Google Docs, that sidebar looks exactly the same in Sheets and in Slides. So it finds all of those errors. It shows you where they are. It gives you a wizard so that you can fix it immediately. I think my favorite part of that tool is the table editor. If you've ever tried to edit a table in once it's in like a PDF and it hasn't been edited on the front end, it can be hours and hours of work only for it to glitch and then not work in the end. And especially if you're a Google house, Workspace is a game changer. So the next thing we're going to talk about is Grackle PDF, and I'm so excited for you guys to get to see this. It really is a next generation of accessibility software. This tool has widgets built within it to automate as many of the processes for editing PDF as possible. It transforms what could be a messy, disorganized, like no alt text, no reading order. It can take that and literally in a matter of a few clicks, it can transform it into a beautifully edited document. The remediation is guided with the tool the entire way, and it really builds to the core validator, which is the same PDF checker that is in our Grackle Go, that free PDF checker that we offer. Grackle Go, importantly, which is the engine in our Grackle PDF, is built directly off of PDF UA standard. And so PDF UA is the globally accepted standard for access within a PDF. So if it meets PDF UA standard, it is guaranteed to be accessible with assistive technology. So that is the gold standard. That is what we want to make sure that we use. And I mention that because we need to be cautious when using other types of software. If you happen to use Adobe Pro, for example, it has an accessibility checker built in, but that checker does not check against PDF UA and hasn't been updated since 2013. So if it gives you an accessible quote unquote report, you really can't take that, but with a grain of sand, because it's not checking the legally essential and the essential pieces for access. Something else that I love about Grackle PDF is that you don't need to spend a lot of time editing out the errors that the software might create. The software doesn't do that. There are other PDF editing softwares where you kind of have to go in and fix the mistakes that the software makes first before you can go in and actually edit it. And I really appreciate that about this software. It automatically will scope your tables. It will linearize layout tables in a click. It adjusts for text spacing and fonts and importing. And it really, it's point and click. It shows you how to do it. You can even adjust things like alt tags or renaming your tag structure in one place. You can fix all, let's say, your heading twos in one place at once throughout a multi-hundred page document. So with that said, I am going to, before we get there, turn it over to Jason. And Jason, once we go over this Grackle PDF, I'd love to give them that look at the Grackle Go engine, just so they know what they're getting for free just for being here today.
Definitely. Happy to jump into Grackle PDF, and I'll share the right screen this time. Excellent. So we've got our Grackle PDF tool open here, and we'll jump into the Grackle Go afterwards. I know we're getting lots of questions about Grackle Go. One of the things you can do is pull a report. You can do that both in Grackle Go as well as here in our Grackle PDF tool. So Grackle PDF, again, is a standalone PDF remediation tool. So what I've got is I've got it open here, and this is an installed program that goes on your computer. And what we've done is this is the overview of the tool. We've broken things down into what we like to call wizards, which are all run by our validator. So similar to the Grackle Workspace, where we have the validation tool that opens up on the side, you've got your validator in your PDFs, and it allows you to walk through the corrections and the remediation of that PDF. So we've got our validator, which is the first tool. We've got our information wizard, and then these are all accessibility common remediation areas. We've got our information wizard, our table wizard, our image wizard, our link wizard, our Unicode wizard, our space wizard. So what I'm going to do is just drag and drop a PDF that just like you would normally, and it opens up inside of our Grackle PDF tool. Now this tool allows you to, I'm going to resize my screen here so I can show you the bottom images or the bottom functionality as well. So what we've got here is we've got a standard PDF. It's got, again, text, headings, tables, images, standard stuff that would be inside of a document. And I would never be able to show you all of the functionality of this tool. It is very extensive, but if you do want to get a more extensive demo, please reach out to your SIPA representative or to GrackleDocs. We'd be happy to schedule that in. But what you can see here is we've got all kinds of functionality where you can see your tags, you can see the quick order of the tags, so you can see the read flow of that document. But the first thing I always like to do is run my validation tool. Now this is going to validate against PDF UA standards, and it's going to walk me through fixing and remediating this document and the content within it. So as you can see, I've got my scan and fix, and it's located 4 errors here. And I can just walk through these errors, point and click, similar to the Grackle Workspace, but with added functionality because it is a PDF and there's more to correct within a PDF after it's already been made. So again, create a document title. I can simply click on, so it's flagging an error here, excuse me, for creating a document title, which is a requirement for PDF UA compliance. So I can either click on Show Me, which is going to open up my information wizard, or I can auto fix. So again, we've added in as much automation as we can with this tool to try to simplify that process. So what auto fix will do is it'll take the title of the document and make that, or excuse me, take the heading and make that my title. So I can either auto fix or click Show Me, which opens up my information wizard and allows me to title that document. So I can put in anything I'd like here, or I can just simply click on auto fix and it created that title for me. As you can see, I put it in. Again, more functionality in here. You can change the document language. You can mark it as PDF UA, much more options in here. But then I can recheck my document and you'll notice that that flag has been corrected. Another one here is content must all be all untagged content must be artifacted. So artifacting within remediation is unrelevant content. So content, excuse me. So things like decorative lines, you don't need assist technology to read that out. It's added there as visual decoration. So what I can do is by clicking on tags, I can confirm that I've tagged all relevant content, and I want to artifact the rest. So what that means is with one click, I can then click on here. It'll open up my artifact untagged. And by clicking on this, all it'll do is it'll tag everything that hasn't been assigned a role within that tag tree. So now what it did, and I know this just from doing this many times, this was an unrelevant image. So it artifacted it for me. I can then recheck my document and that flag will be corrected. The next option will be figures need alternative text. So a common thing in accessibility is that all images and figures need to have alternative text associated to them. So it is flagging this one image here. By clicking on Show Me, it's going to open up my image wizard. Now, what the image wizard is it allows you, and I'm going to move this screen here so everyone can see, I'm clicking on the one image that's on the document, but you can imagine you have a 50-page document here with 50 associated images. Scrolling through each of those individually and tagging the alternative text can be a lengthy process. So this allows you to quickly do them all at a pace that works for you. So I could add my brand mark GrackleDocs as my alternative text. I click Update, and now I've got my alternative text in there, and I can continue working on all of the other images that I would have in my document. Again, much more functionality than that quick overview. You can mark them as block and inline, but we do highly suggest an advanced training with this tool to learn all of the different abilities that it has. So again, I'm going to recheck this document, and you'll notice that my it's now recognized alternative text. Next is going to be our tables. So tables is where we put a lot of work into this tool because tables are very difficult to remediate correctly. So what it's flagging here is that tables must be square. So again, I'm going to click on Show Me with that walkthrough mentality, and it's going to open up my table wizard. So when I do that, it's going to scan for tables. I click Yes, and it's going to open up our table wizard. Our table wizard is going to locate the tables that are within the document. So as you know, as I click them, you can see them popping up. And it's going to give me my irregular table, which is the one that's got the X. So by clicking on the irregular table, I can see that I've got an unsquare table, which means that the scoping is incorrect and it needs to square up so that the associated parent cells are with the child cells. You can either use shortcut keys to increase and decrease spans, or you can point and click by increasing and decreasing your column spans. And by doing this, bear with me, I'm going to increase my row. I'm going to increase my my columns. And then increase my span for and again, this can be done by using Alt left, Alt right, but for the visual sake, I'm going to do it manually here. Now what I've done, Now what I've done here is I've made my table square. It's going to recognize this as a square table. You can also change your scoping. So depending on which cells you want associated, you can do all of this within the tool. We've also added in automation, so you can automate your scoping. So the tool is going to take its best guess at automating the scoping that it believes is correct, and then it's a quick and easy fix for you to ensure that that was done correctly. So when this is done, I'm going to apply, and I'm going to check my document again, and I should have a 100% accessible PDF. So now I've got a 100% accessible demo file here. Some extra features that we've added in here. Again, you can see the different heading structures. You can go within each container and remove them and make the corrections that you want, change the order. Some other features, we've added in automation. For instance, if you want to check, so let's say you've got a whole bunch of similarly fonted and sized headings, and you want to confirm that they're all marked as heading 2s. You can select same style. It's going to go through the document and recognize the visual style of each of those headings, and then you can quickly scan through your page and ensure that they're all marked as the correct heading level. We've added in features like screen reader preview, proofreading. So for instance, if you wanted to see how a screen reader would interact with your completed document, you can see that we've got our figure, brand mark of GrackleDocs, we've got our heading and our paragraph tags. So everything is in place. We've got proofreading available in here. So you can actually proofread your document and get a different visual representation of the work you've done. Hover over your tables to ensure that they're all being read and associated to the right cells. Many more functionality, much more functionality in here. Again, we do highly suggest a training program, but this is Grackle PDF. I will then switch over to our Grackle Go tool, which is the one that I believe we had some trouble with the QR code. So I did post the website link. Simply visit that website link, and all you need to do is register, and you will get access to it.
I
So what I'm going to
do, put it down a little further in the chat.
Excellent, thank you. So what I'm going to go do next is I'm going to share the dashboard, because this is a great tool and one that I'd love to get everyone involved with. So what we've got here is our dashboard. So when you visit that link, you're going to come up here, and this is going to be a sign up page. All you need to do is click the sign up button, and we'll get you set up on the dashboard. Excuse me. So this is our login page. You've got your username and your password. So once you're signed up, you just click on login, and this will take you into our Grackle dashboard. Inside of this dashboard, you're going to have two tabs available. You're going to have Grackle Go and Grackle Service. Grackle Go is what I'm going to show you today, and this is our online PDF UA validation tool. Again, free to use. All you need to do is choose a file and click Create Scan. So you put in a PDF, you create a scan, and it's going to populate in the bottom. You just click refresh when your scan is complete, and it's going to give you your accessibility grade on that file. So you'll notice that you'll have your historical checks that you've done in your files. So I'm just going to pick one here that was an F, so we can see what it found. So we've got an F rating, and by clicking on that, what it'll do is it give me a little bit of a it'll populate what it scanned for, as well as a little snapshot of the document you put in. So you can see we've got 706 fails, and it allows you to actually go into each of your fails and learn more about it. It won't correct it for you, but it'll learn and let you know where your issues are. So for instance, we've got text objects that aren't tagged in this file, and by clicking on that one image, it'll populate the text object it has referred to. And this is a great way to ensure that your PDFs are compliant before posting or sharing. Another really good benefit to this is you can actually download this as a report. So if you have another vendor or a colleague that sent you a PDF and told you it's accessible, you can double check it through this tool, and you can even download a report and send it off and say, it's not accessible. Here's a couple of failures that you need to correct before we can post this. Again, great tool to use. And then once you have this blueprint, once you have the knowledge that this PDF isn't accessible, you can use a tool like the Workspace in the creation of that PDF, or Grackle PDF specifically to make those corrections, or some training, right? If you're using Word or PowerPoint or InDesign or any of the other programs available to create content, you can get some training programs through GrackleDocs and learn how to pass this final stage.
Absolutely. And I just love this Grackle Go checker specifically because it shows you where in the document, and it gives you so much more data. If you've ever used a PAC checker, PAC, to check for PDF UA accessibility in a PDF, the reports are far more detailed, but detailed in a way that you kind of do need an IT degree to understand them. And so I just love how this kind of shows you where it is, explains what it is, and then if you have Grackle PDF, you know where to go to fix it, or whatever you're using to fix your PDF. I see some people in the chat mentioning that they get a message when they go in to sign to Grackle Go that theirs is expired. We can refresh that. I put in an email in the chat. If you email, I put in info@grackledocs.com. And just let them know that we'll refresh it for you, because it's completely free access, unlimited access. There's no deadline or limit on it. That probably means that you had access and you didn't know it. And we just need to give it, we just need to hit refresh on that button for you. But I hope this was helpful. I mean, I know we are so proud of the work that we get to do here at Grackle. I was just speaking with one of our CEOs this morning, and we were just kind of taking a minute to reflect on how wonderful it is to work in a company where everyone has a shared goal of creating access and supporting the human and civil rights of others. And that really is why we do what we do. So if you have questions, let me jump back. I want to make sure that I get that last slide up there. So that you have all the appropriate information for COSIPA as well. But it looks like we have a little bit of time left, and we would love to take your questions if you have them. I see that there have been several in the chat, and I think we've been answering them as we go, but as they continue to come in, I have to
There
open.
was one in the Q&A. It looks like that may have gotten answered already. But yeah, raise your hand if you would like to ask a question, and I will get you unmuted. Oh, hey, Krista, let's get you there. All right, go ahead. Did your unmute work, Krista? Oh, possibly not.
She says she doesn't have an unmute button.
Oh, all right.
Okay,
Oh,
can you
type
hear
it
me
in the
now?
chat then.
Yes.
Yay! Wonderful. Thank you so much. Dr. Ann, what a wonderful beginning presentation you gave. I really, I was screenshotting a lot of the slides because I love the statistics. I think they're going to be great for my team. But I did put a question in the Q&A and Phil Spencer kindly answered it, but the answer doesn't make sense to me. So
Okay.
one of the problems that we've observed, and this is not just me, I work for CDPHE for the state of Colorado, and we remediate a lot of different types of documents using GrackleDocs, and the alt text does not stick when you convert to a PDF. And it's very frustrating, as you can imagine, because we do long technical documents. We're public health, we're environment, we love science. And it doesn't stick. And Phil answered by saying it depends on the placement of the alternate text. We use the Grackle tool
Okay.
to put it in. We've put it in using the actual tool in Google, meaning you go to the options, you go to alt text, you add it there. We've done it a variety of ways and it doesn't always work. And then I have another question after that about the scan tool, but I'd love an answer to this one first, pretty please.
Yeah, I'm happy to hop in here. It should work. The tool's built around allowing alt text to stick. So my best suggestion would be for us to workshop through this. If you want to send me a specific document, is there one that you can share with me that you're actively running into this issue with?
No, I'd have to go back in time and find one.
Okay.
But if you give me your
Um,
email, Jason, I'd be happy
Yeah.
to send it to you, or I can send it to my SIPA person. I have a SIPA person, whatever's the best process, I'm happy to do that.
yeah, either way works. We would just need to get our hands on a specific document. We'll run a check on our end, but it should be populated
Okay,
correctly.
Yeah, let us help you with that because our dev team is fantastic too, and we take what we do really seriously. So you will get responses, and they will problem solve this for you.
I love that. That would be awesome. And my eyes are sparkling at the idea of this Grackle Go scan thing. Like, ooh. So
Yeah, you said you had a question.
my question is this, and maybe I just misunderstood your demo. If I open up my website, I go to my CDPHE website, does the tool scan the whole website looking for documents, or do I have to give the documents to the tool to scan?
Yeah, happy. That's a great question. So there's two types of scans that we can do. The Grackle Go, which is the free one, is an individual PDF scanner. So that's you upload one PDF, it checks it for accessibility. What Grackle Scan is a document repository scanner. So that would be your website, for instance. It'll go on the website, download every PDF available on that website, and then perform individual Grackle Go scans on those PDFs and return that to you as a in a dashboard view. You know, we found 500 PDFs, 200 are A pluses, 100 are, you know, C's, and whatever's left, 200 are F's. And then it allows you to make those decisions, either purging documents, working through remediating them. So that is a paid solution that is called Grackle Scan. But the two kind of work together because Grackle Go is the brains behind the operation.
That is unbearably cool. I just have
Yeah,
to say that.
yeah, it
How
is a really good tool.
I see Sharon is here from SIPA. SIPA has OIT from the state. Have they approved these tools for us? Can we, so I
They
should go to
have.
my accessibility consultant at the state and say, I want.
Yes, please do, because I know they've sent emails out to their directors that oversee to the agencies. They've been working with us. They know that we've got Grackle. They put it in their newsletter. So please do ask whoever the highest level is that you can reach in your agency and tell them to contact OIT to get this going. And then if you need large numbers of licenses, go through us.
Okay. No, I'm low on the food chain, so I probably don't see those emails, which is fine. This is why we come to these workshops to learn things. And then the other last question I have is because I already have the Grackle suite of products, the docs, the sheets, the slides, does that mean I already have a Grackle Workspace account? Or do I need
Yeah.
to create a new one? Because I did forgot password and it didn't do anything. But when I said create an account, it sent me a link to do that. And I just don't want to do double duty. And I'm sure others maybe have the same question.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
done now.
apologies
Thank
for
you.
the
Oh,
for the
that's okay.
naming
Good question.
conventions. The Grackle Workspace is doc sheets and slides. We call it the
Okay.
workspace as a whole. The Grackle dashboard is what I demoed here and gets you access to Grackle Go. And you that might be why you're getting the error, is because it's trying to associate to your existing account. So again, if you reach out, we can get that error. We can get the right linking done and get you access.
Fabulous presentation all. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we
So
had a question in the chat asking you guys what sets you apart from the other tools that are out there. So I know we've gone over this.
Yeah.
Please share with them.
That's a great question, and one that we get asked all the time. So one of the main things that sets us apart is and we are advocates first. What's most important to us is that you're creating barrier-free access to content. And another thing that really helps us in the development of our tools and our solutions is we are a one-stop shop. We do everything digital accessibility. So what that means is we don't just develop software. We don't just provide training. We don't just remediate documents. We do all of it. And because of that, all of our departments talk. So for instance, the Grackle PDF tool was actually developed to let our remediators do their job more efficiently. So we have a team of developers where the remediators who are doing these PDF remediations day in, day out are actively talking with the development team. Hey, if you added this function, I can save 15 mouse clicks. Dev team adds it. Hey, if you do this, I can save 20 minutes of file. And then they actively add that into the tool. So our tools are always getting better using feedback of everyday users. So that's one of the things that really sets us apart. And we've got our subject matter experts in our consulting and training division. So when our developers are creating a software, they're doing it knowing what the most up-to-date laws are. We know what's coming down the pipeline, and we're actively making changes to our solutions to ensure that you don't implement this plan and then all of a sudden the law gets updated and then you got to relook at it all because the software you purchased doesn't do the work you need it to do. Right? We do it all, and we look ahead as well. And we listen. We really listen to our clients. We have a great team over here, and we're so thankful to have the partnership with SIPA. But we love feedback. We love it because if you don't like the tool, you're not going to use it, and we want you to use it.
Isolita has a question. I've gone ahead and unmuted you. Please click your unmute and ask away.
Hi, just a quick question for you, Isolita with Healthcare Policy and Finance. We do a lot of things in Grackle and your competitors' tools as well too. One of the things that we found to be actually helpful for us in the competitors' tool is there's a report that is attached after a document has been remediated. Do you offer the same type of things where it can be attached? That way we can prove in a court of law that we've done everything to our due diligence.
Yep, we do have reports, so you can actually pull that same report from Grackle Go, or there is a report pulling option within the Grackle PDF. It doesn't get attached to the document. The reason for that is if we went and added a report at the end, then you could add it, but then you'd have to re-remediate it because that report is added to the content, which means it needs to be tagged. It needs to be the logical structure needs to be added. You can't just add extra pages in the back. Does that make sense? So what we do is we always attach a report. We have a PDF and then the associated report with that PDF.
Yeah, the associated report is what we're looking for because it'll be a lot easier than going through and running scans over and over again for the same document you already did. So.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
the
we
report
have
that's
that.
generated
Yeah.
is really clean too. It looks really nice. It's you could easily submit that to your attorney, for example, if you had to.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's also important to note that you can check if a PDF, you can tag it as a compliant document within Grackle PDF. So when it's just tagged, it's accessible, tagged as a PDF UA compliant document.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And there's a question about if this can be used with Excel docs. And I know I asked this same question and also kind of related of with the Google Sheets, can you export and have an accessible document? So let's go ahead and answer that one too.
Yeah, so the Google Sheets, the way that we solve that using the Workspace extension tool is we actually create accessible HTML documents that can be shared.
Mm-hmm.
But it does not work with Excel.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, it does not work with Excel. We don't have the extension for Excel. Our approach with Excel is actually training. So what we'll do is because Excel, one of the differences between Excel and Google Sheets, for instance, Excel, you can actually add accessibility features in the native program. So what we do is we'll come in and we'll train you on how to use the existing abilities within Excel to add in the accessibility yourself, rather than having you have to purchase the software to do the job for you. You can get trained on doing it, and then you're not locked into another software program. You can just use Excel that you're already paying for.
Yeah, another quick workaround for that too is if you have an Excel document and you already have our Google Sheets software, then you could upload that Excel document and then to Google Sheets, but then save it as a Google Sheets file. If you use what you've uploaded, Google still thinks it's an Excel, and so the extension won't work because it's still technically an Excel file. So if you upload it into Google Sheets and then save a copy as a Google Sheets document, then you can open the Grackle extension for Sheets within it and use that tool that way. But I do recommend Jason's approach because there are accessibility features built into Excel. Usually we just aren't aware of how to use them.
We did get a question from Kate. Thank you for the question about accessibility training. Yes, we do. We offer a wide variety of accessibility training options. Again, contact your SIPA representative and we'd be happy to get these to you. We've got what we call our out-of-the-box trainings. So these are our popular trainings for things like how to make an accessible Word document, how to make an accessible Excel document, InDesign, you name it. We've got trainings on more extensive of HB 21, for instance, so digital accessibility kind of 101, who it's for, what the laws are. There's dozens of these which we can share with you to look through. But then we've got our custom trainings. So we do have a large team of subject matter experts, and really it's getting to know, well, what do you want to be trained on, and we can make a custom course for you that solves that question or knowledge base that you want to learn.
And the Grackle Go doesn't scan a whole Google folder because you have to upload the document to Go, right?
That's correct. That would
Okay.
fall within the Grackle scan side of things, where it would scan an entire repository and pull them individually and check them.
Yeah, so
Got
it's
it.
possible. It's just a different tool.
Yeah. One of the main things we find here on the GrackleDocs side of things is digital accessibility can be a bit of a beast to tackle, because you can imagine every piece of digital content that you create needs to be accessible, and digital content comes in a lot of different varieties, and what's going to work for one institution to solve that problem isn't necessarily going to be the same solution for another. One institution, you might be better to get some software, get some training, and do it all yourself. Another solution might be just to hand everything off to a third-party vendor, have them do the work for you, and send it back to you. And GrackleDocs, we can do both those things. We can do a lot more than both those things. At the end of the day, what's most important is that you have the tool set so that what you're providing to the public is accessible to everyone. It's a matter of connecting the right solution for what your needs are, and we can do all of it. It's just a matter of connecting the dots.
Yeah, absolutely. And then something I always like to remind people is that when we create content to be accessible, not only is it more accessible to individuals with disabilities, but it's more accessible to everyone. So if you have videos on your site or through an app that people can utilize, or you post them to your social media, and by the way, social media come the deadline also needs to be accessible. And those videos have good captions. Well, that means that for a person whose first language isn't English, they can access that more easily. For someone who is a single parent and works 3 jobs and it's 2 in the morning and that's when they can sign up for services, but the baby's asleep, so they can't play the video with sound on. Now they can get it too. And those are just a few examples. If someone doesn't have a great internet connection, but you have that online content that's accessible. If it's accessible, it's going to load the right way on their device every time. Or it's going to load with that alt or descriptive text on their device every time. So it really is universal design. It's making everything, it's putting everyone on the same playing field. I love that Sharon just put in a link in the chat for government grants, specific for Colorado. Those are, we actually help clients with that too, if they need to write for grants. That's something that I've helped clients with before. So that's a fantastic resource, Sharon.
Isolita, you had another question?
No, actually I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I think
Gotcha.
Krista has her hand up.
Yeah, I do. Dr. Ann, you said something that sparked my brain.
Sure.
When we were talking about the Grackle scan, we heavily use Google folders.
Okay.
And you said it was I thought I heard you say that was a different product, is there a
Mhm.
way to use one of your tools to scan a Google folder? Did I get that right? Maybe?
Yeah,
Yes?
so yes. So our Grackle scan tool. So we have Grackle Workspace, right? Those are the three add-ons, Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. That's Grackle Workspace. We have Grackle PDF. That is our standalone PDF editor software. And then we have one of the other many things that we have is Grackle Scan. So Grackle Scan will scan a repository of documents, that repository, and Jason can jump in if I'm
Yeah.
missing an important part. That could be through a website. So maybe you have documents that are uploaded sporadically throughout your entire website, and you need to get a handle on which of them are accessible and to what level so that you can make a next step plan. Part of that accessibility plan that's required for HP 21. But also, if you have a repository of documents, like in a Google folder or a Google Drive, and you need to have all of them scanned for accessibility again, so you can get that report to determine what's accessible, what isn't, to what level, and make a plan. So it will do that. And I'm sure Jason will pop in with anything that I might have missed.
No,
Oh,
that's exactly
you
it.
are my new best friend. And
Oh, good.
I just want to make sure, well, we have so many Google folders, it's just
Mhm.
ridiculous. I just want to make sure I understand what I need to ask for. I'm asking for Google Scan to scan my
Grackle
Google folder.
scan.
Yep.
Yep,
Grackle
Grackle
Scan.
scan. I'm going to type it in the
Cool.
chat. Yep, Grackle scan.
Thank you. A million thank yous.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
that's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah, and it works really well. Like it's going to look in, it finds all those PDFs. It gives you that same kind of report that our Grackle Go or our Grackle PDF editor would give you after you're finishing editing a document. So it's pretty fantastic. Any other questions? Is
Kate,
Grackle
you
Go
asked
like a pack checker?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump into that. So it is. Again, we developed it as a web-based tool, so you can check your PDFs against PDUFUA without having to install a program. So it is like a pack checker. It's Grackle's version.
Yeah, and in my professional opinion, it's easier to use because you can use it off of any platform. And I think that the report that it gives you is far more easy to understand than I've used pack checkers before. For me, it's much easier to understand and then be able to take action with.
We also added in as much usability as we can into our checker. So it's important to note there's a difference between being compliant and being a good user experience. They're both really important. And we added in our developers added in as much usability checking as it can do, as a software program can do.
I think that's a really key point, Jason. So we also offer a service where we do website audits. So our Grackle audit and then even, when we're remediating documents and when especially with our audit team, we employ a team of users with lived experience of disability who use a variety of different types of assistive technology. So, anytime that we would do, let's say, a website audit for full accessibility, including like navigation features, we make sure that there are several of our employees who go through it as users and provide a usability report, not just from a scientific perspective, what checks the box as an accessibility need or compliance piece in WCAG.
Explain the process of using Grackle. Is it a license to purchase, or do you purchase the individual services like PDF?
It is a license, so an annual license. And then we would unlock your and provide you the annual license to install. It's different depending on Grackle PDF to Grackle Workspace. So if it's Google, for instance, the Grackle Workspace solution, we would unlock your email that you use to access Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. And if it's Grackle PDF, we would provide you with the license to use for the program you've installed on your computer.
Thank you,
And
Jason.
again, these can both be acquired through your SIPA representative.
All right. Well, I'm going to launch this poll that this is something that SIPA is kind of looking at and wondering how we can help you down the road, looking at the future like we did the accessibility grants last year. So if you could let us know, that'd be great. Otherwise, it looks like we have gotten to the end of our questions, and I am so thankful for everyone's time here because this has been amazing. We will be back on January 29th, as I put in the chat, with a webinar by SIPA's Chief Operating Officer, Catherine Kunst, and our Gov Grants Program Director, Noah Kaplan. We're going to share about grant writing essentials, how you can make those grants amazing, not just for Gov grants, but for anything that you apply for. And then Noah's going to go over our Gov Grants program because it is reopened for application. So if you've got those big ideas, those amazing innovative projects you want to do that start at $25,000 and go up, and there's no limit on that amount you can request, and it can be a multi-year program, please attend this, get more information, look at the Gov Grants page I put in there, and find out more, because we would love for your applications to come in so we can consider that, and we can hopefully help you with some amazing ideas. Check out our new website. You'll find more information there. Subscribe to our monthly newsletter to keep up on news and information from us. And we hope to see you again soon. If you want to share this webinar again, we did record it. We'll get it up on our YouTube channel as soon as we can get some captions added to make sure it's accessible. And then we'll be back again in February and March and April with even more. So thank you again all for your time, both our presenters and everyone who came here. We really appreciate it. And we hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, everyone.